Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Case 5, Rise from the Ashes. We're on the third day of investigation, and what a day in court we just had. First of all, we found out that Jake Marshall was traipsing around in the evidence room to try to find and steal the evidence related to the SL9 incident, in which we discovered his brother was one of the victims of the Joe Dark killings. Unfortunately for Jake, the evidence had already been stolen by someone else. And at first it looked like all of the suspicion was going to be redirected back to the prosecutor's office parking lot situation, but we made sure to present something that we made sure not to overlook during our investigation yesterday, which was that there was another bloody handprint that was not on Marshall's locker, but on Gumshoe's locker. It was just blocked by the blue badger that was sitting there during the time that this supposed murder took place, which means that there was something that happened before that point, and we're suspecting that that was the time during which Goodman was actually murdered. But what really happened, well, we don't really know. The other thing that we found out was that Lana, who was previously involved during the Joe Dark killings, had apparently been responsible for fabricating evidence, which certainly caused quite a stir in the courtroom. So right now, we're going to try to see what we can do, and hopefully we'll be able to get back to the trial tomorrow with plenty in hand to go do battle with. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What happened to you? What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Well, now that's interesting. Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes, I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. Yeah, that's what we saw in the file, but we didn't know exactly what the circumstances were. I didn't see that one coming. Alright. Let's talk about what happened. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture. What did you see in the instant that crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. Yeah, that must be really traumatic. I can't even imagine. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently, I passed out. Aww. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I wanted to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. Well, that's a rather honorable goal. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence, and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it, Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. So what is this thing that's been bothering us? There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at that time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually wondered about that when it was originally mentioned, but I didn't say anything. Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor. Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Oh. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. Why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices in the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. Yeah, we heard about that, actually. She was the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. I thought we knew that. Or at the very least, I thought Jake Marshall mentioned that. Maybe not. I forget. Oh, no. We read about it in the file. I guess the game is just kind of assuming that you may not have necessarily looked at that file yet. Although, no, you would have to look at it in order to present it as evidence that Neil Marshall was one of the victims, right? I don't know. Maybe it's just a safeguard just in case you didn't read everything in there. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective. I'd better have another talk with her. Alright. Well, if we're going to have another talk with her, I suppose we should move on to the detention center. Hi, Lana. Lana! Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details? Especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. Two years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office, and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Yeah, I still am not a fan of just how so much of this kind of hinges on the fact that Lana is not telling us much. I feel like we could have gotten way farther in this case if she had just been forthright up front. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me! So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filing some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. Oof. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing! They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant, he was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident? That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. Me neither. I really do not buy this. There is something going on there. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall, yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Yeah, that's rather interesting, because it seems like everyone was very convinced that Joe Dark was the guilty party in all these serial murders 2 years ago. But I'm wondering if Neil Marshall's death is even related to this, because serial murder tends to imply that there is some sort of connective tissue between all the killings, right? But Neil Marshall's death, is he not satisfied with it because he doesn't believe it was Dark who killed him, or because it was the way it happened, or what? Like, I'm curious to know what Jake's motivation here is. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself. The Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. That sounds like a good idea. Let's go take a look around. I'm going to go over here. This is where we've seen Gant before, so maybe we can do some investigation. I don't see Detective Gumshoe anywhere. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. You're right. The chief of detectives seems the same, though. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right. We can come back here later. I'm going to, just because this was something I had to do before, I'm going to try to examine the chief of detectives. Oh, this is new. What? Dark case may have been fabricated. That's what I thought all along. I just never bothered to tell anyone. Now there's a guy who cares about his work. Okay. What about this guy? Can we talk to him? That must be one of the detectives. He's mumbling something to himself. That's it. The villain used a time machine. Very clever indeed. That would explain the alibi. The future might not be so far away after all. Yeah, I don't think so. He's not writing a report. He's writing a novel. Alright, I guess we have to come back here some other time. Anybody here at the entrance? Ooh, it's Marshall. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things turned out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera, sera. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. Aw. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I need to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. I want to know more about the Dark trial and what he was so interested in. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. All the detectives? What do you mean, fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's all right. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade and the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. Ooh, now that's fascinating. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Taken care of? You mean like demoted? I'm assuming the one that wasn't taken care of was Goodman, since he was still a detective up until now. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. I don't know, Gant is sounding more and more suspicious the further along we go here. The investigation lead, Damon Gant, and his second-in-command, Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Lana's secret, and all started 2 years ago. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he? Your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the King of Prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, that wasn't the same day as... That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal. Wait, there was evidence transferal on that day too? Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. Yeah, that's what Emma said as well. That someone is Damon Gant. Ooh, okay, now we're pointing some fingers. Alright, I was kind of wondering about him. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Well, if you have nothing to lose, too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Aw, I'm gonna miss that guy. Alright. Well, I guess there's nothing else for us to do here. So I suppose we can go to the underground parking lot and see what's going on here. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. We proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15 p.m. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Alright, guess we can visit Edgeworth. See what he's up to. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee. He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll just have to come back later. Okay. Well, I'm not really sure where else to go. I mean, the only other place where we can talk to somebody is the detention center with Lana here. And we can't do anything more there, so I'm wondering if we need to present something to her. Maybe these? I don't think we really need that. We haven't really found out anything more about this thing. No. Oops, I keep doing that, accidentally hitting enter one too many times. I'm really curious about this rubber glove. Maybe we need to present her with this. No. I don't really know where else we can really find anything here. No, okay. Have we examined all the new stuff yet? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. We don't really have anything new here. What about this? No, okay. Can we ask her about the muffler thing? No, okay. Well, I suppose we can try going back to the Criminal Affairs Department. Ah, here we go, okay. This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Wow, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media in tomorrow's trial, there's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word usually used for those. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevators to the top floor. Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Emma. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Alright, I guess we're going there. Whoa. Well, I see why Gant has an organ as his main theme whenever we see him. Looks like there's a lot of interesting things going on here. We have the giant organ in the middle, but we also have a photo on the left that looks like Gant, Neil Marshall, and Lana. And a bunch of assorted things here. Maybe a desk and then some decor here on the right. Whoa, where am I? In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what I said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. You took organ lessons? I thought I was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. I never could remember where C was. That sounded like C, though. Hmm? Hey! Oh, it's you two! Chief Gant! He put that paper he was reading in his desk. So, Righto, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full, too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct and Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? That's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. Yeah, I'm noticing a couple of things that are really interesting here. One of them is that this trophy has this, whatever this thing is here, intact. The version that we have, it's not there. And then this thing looks very familiar. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Gantt team picture added to the court record. Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm going to lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Oh, okay. Was that a sort of thready thing? Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet, after all. What do you mean? Chief Gantt denied a request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. You mean like a clue? There's got to be a way we can get inside the chief's office. Okay, well, I take it if we try going back here, let's see what happens, but I doubt we're going to just be able to easily get back inside. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Mr. Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battle's between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. Oh, whoops. Gotta move over here. But why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Yeah, but perception is a very powerful thing. Lana Skye is the guilty party here, isn't she? Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there's been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor has kept him safe from those who don't like him. But now, with this, are there really so many people who hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey, Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. It seems you don't have any problems with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. I don't know if I agree with that. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while the coffee was brewing. He seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack. So in the chief's office, then. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? I guess he doesn't know that that was Emma. Me. Seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Really? Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. It might jog his memory. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. He was just your run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? What made him take to serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So, it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed a lady who saw the second crime. A kid walked by, so he killed him. Then a jogger came upon the scene and was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Yikes, that is really terrifying. But it kind of does go back to what I was saying earlier about Neil Marshall being killed. Like, this sounds like one of those wrong place, wrong time kinds of things with all these people. So it's kind of like, how would Marshall even relate to that unless he was in that much danger at the police station, right? It just doesn't really seem to line up with this string of killings. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim, Prosecutor Marshall. That crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing that last witness wasn't killed. That last witness, aka Emma. Indeed. Alright, so we were asked if we could show the murder weapon. About this. Hey, is that... It has a tag attached to it with the label SL9 Incident on it. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of. What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, that knife's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker and was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it! Now I remember what that incriminating piece of evidence was. When you showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what is it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. Okay. This knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at. Plus, it had his fingerprints on it too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, you'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well anyway, take a guess where the broken tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. Whoa, okay. It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet, down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Neil's autopsy report added to the court record. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. Switchblade knife updated the court record. The broken tip was found in the victim's body. Belonged to murderer Joe Dark. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gann. It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The chief's out now, and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. Oh, that's nice. We have a detective's ID card. What? Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's. That won't work either. The data was deleted the day he died. Oh. Oh. So in other words, Gumshoe is our only chance of getting into that office. I wonder if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind. That's a good question. Let's see. Can we show him this? Okay, this is not anything interesting. Maybe this? About that jar. I think I've seen it before somewhere. Somewhere? Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. This must be the most uninformative detective I've ever met. Something about it makes me feel uneasy. It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief Gant? Where could I have seen that before? I think you did see it somewhere before. Closer than you think. Now let's present this to him. I'm wondering if we need to do it in that order. No? Okay. Maybe this? No. What about this? Hey, that's it! That's the King of Prosecutors Award that Mr. Edgeworth got the other day. Were you at the awards ceremony, Detective Gumshoe? Of course, pal. I got an award for diligence myself. Ah, congratulations. I was wondering, why is the award a shield? And why is it broken? Oh, there's a reason. I'll tell you what it is later. Didn't we ask him this earlier, and he said that? Apparently he's forgotten. Alright. Can we try presenting this now? No. I don't know. This ID card belongs to the victim, Detective Bruce Goodman. You can do just about anything these days with a card and a secret number. Scary. It's only scary because you keep dropping your card, Detective Gumshoe. Ooh. I forget my secret number a lot too. I'm scared of myself. But I'm me after all. And what could be wrong with that? I think I'll stay out of this conversation. Maybe we have to get this thing that will change his mind somewhere else. So I'm not really sure what else we can show that would make sense here. Can we do anything with Lana still? Doesn't look like it. Alright, let's see if Edgeworth has anything to say. Ah, something new. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is! It looks like he's writing something. What? What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. Well, first of all, I want to see what this is. I wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Miss Wright. Let's take a look. Can we do that in front of him? Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Okay, never mind. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First let me see what this girl's doing crawling around my feet. He didn't even look. What? Letter of If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says, letter of resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, Wright. I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh. I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation, I wonder if I can use it for anything. Alright. Letter of resignation. Edgeworth's discarded letter of resignation. He's serious. Alright. I don't think there's anything else new here. Okay, so we can talk to him about everything. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. I get that, but at the same time, I don't think you were responsible for that. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean that the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility is the prosecutor in charge. I get that, but at the same time, I feel like that's an easy thing to exploit. That fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Edgeworth? I take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial, and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. Aw, come on, Edgeworth. You know we care about you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Really? Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists? That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture? Something seems strange about it. We'll show that to Edgeworth in a minute. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this. Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes. Just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is until I was asked to take something back. Oh yeah, that screwdriver, right? Take something back? This. Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes, it was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. I think I'm beginning to get a feel for what might have happened here. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to. That's right. Alright, I'm going to ask Edgeworth about this. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding, it's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. Ah, I remember now. Remember what? Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Hey, that's what our whole career is based on. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written in with 2 characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure, everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though, for Emma's sake? Sure. Very well. Long ago in the kingdom of China, Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless, and thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with a merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow. Thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the shield award abolished. That's rather interesting. Chief Gant. Chief Gant is getting more and more suspicious all the time here. 2 years ago, the halberd was removed at Gant's behest, giving it its current form. I wonder why that was. That seems rather interesting. Alright, well, let's see if we have anything new anywhere else. Ooh, apparently there was something new out here. Excuse me. Angel's here. Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Miss Starr! I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. That's an interesting comparison. Still, I never thought you'd go out digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. This can't all be attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred toward Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Well, let's talk to her about that. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though, must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Skye. My sister? The best of the best were put on that SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Ganton led the investigation, with Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to track evidence. He'd produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. That sounds rather interesting. I wonder how he did that. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Yeah. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall? When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would ever have recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Starr? That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Is that why you're mad at her? That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean with the forging of the evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But you don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us, save Goodman, were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used. Tell me more. Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Why are you saying it like that? Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control, and then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office? The prosecutor's office. Yep. What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Starr. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. I'll do my best. Alright, where do we want to go next? Over here? Nothing new there. Here? Ooh! We do have something new here. I wonder if we can go into the chief's area. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer is still no. I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. It'd be at my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's got to be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. Maybe if we present this, since I know he's close to Edgeworth, right? I mean, maybe if he knows that it's Edgeworth's neck on the line, he'll change his mind. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? Uh-oh. No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious! Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they've pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice, too. But I know different now. He trusts us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. We betrayed him. Detective? That's it. I've made up my mind. Yes! But, here, take my ID card. We can't do that if someone found out. That still looks like Bruce Goodman's ID card, with his name blurred out. They wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, Detective. Thank you. Gumshoe's ID tucked swiftly into pockets. A police department ID card allows access to areas of the PD open to detectives. Okay, this looks like Dick Gumshoe right there. Okay, that looks like it's correct. Alright, well, let's see what we can find in here. We can finally explore the chief's office. Here goes, Mr. Wright. Alright. We got 3 different areas to look at here. We're in! If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Eee! Gah! Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Ah! Detective Gumshoe! What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what's the point in giving us your ID card? Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. Hey, don't do that to my card. Gumshoe, I feel like you could just run away right now. Now that that happened. Hardly ever gets a chance to come in here, so I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. I've got a bad feeling about this. Alright. Let's take a look at everything here, and we're going to start from left to right. Well, I guess we can't look at the middle, so it's only 2 panels here. Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. Not exactly. This is the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since making Detective, I always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. So long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired. Don't say that! Alright. Can't look at that. What about here? These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. Okay, so that was her side of the room, that's right. There's a small picture frame on the left shelf. Hey! This is when Lana and I went to that theme park. Aww. This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here and went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? I don't think anyone's going to be thinking that they're dead if that's the circumstance behind it. Okay, I think we've seen everything we can see here except the organ. The Chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally we hear him playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. That must be really annoying. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th floor of an entirely different building. Yeah. When a detective screws up, the chief calls him to his office and makes him listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. That sounds like it could be really loud and annoying. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except for the ringing in their ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. But aren't the chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. That's beside the point. I wonder if he can't hear very well and that's why he's so loud. Who knows? This mark looks like some kind of flower. Where it is, it's designed after the insignia on the prosecutor's badge. Prosecutor's badge? Yeah, like the one hanging from your collar. What? They have badges too? The design's supposed to portray the severity of the punishment system. Now that you mention it, it does look all pointy and kind of painful. But Mr. Edgeworth never wears a badge. That's because he's a sharp dresser. A badge like that wouldn't go too well with his outfit. So sharp dressers don't need to wear badges? I guess everyone just kind of lets it slide. I don't see how that's supposed to signify severe punishment. Me neither. Alright, so this looks like it's all done. What about the safe over here? This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Oh, okay. If you say so. It looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. Well, there was one number that we didn't know about in the ID card record, but I'm going to come back to this in a minute in case I trigger something here. A 7-digit number. Didn't we see one of those somewhere? How about we try entering my birth date? I don't know if there's a 7-digit format for that. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. Well, I guess there could be if the month or day is only 1 digit. And the year is 4 and all that. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant! He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. Didn't Edgeworth say earlier that he had a list of evidence from the SL9 case that seemed incomplete? A list of evidence? In most cases, a list runs twice as long as this, though. Yeah. Hey, look at the case name. Huh? SL9 incident. I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence lists. Normally, they're twice as long? That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. We saw something like that before, didn't we? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it! The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. Evidence list added to the court record. List of evidence in the SL9 incident was ripped in half, so this part is all I've got. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. We found this inside the drawer. A list of evidence from the SL9 incident. Mr. Edgeworth had the other half of that list. What would this list be doing here? We'd better look a little more into this list. Alright, well, let's take a look at the court record. Can we check the actual contents of it or not? It looks like not. Oh, now what is this? I wonder what this is. Looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is it? Did you find something? I can't make it out. I'd better keep quiet about it for now. Huh? Oh, no, it's nothing. Why are your eyes moving about like that, Mr. Wright? I better not forget about this picture. Huh. Didn't Emma mention that she drew a picture of the scene at the SL9 incident after she witnessed everything? Because this looks very similar to the Neil Marshall, Joe Dark confrontation that we've been seeing flashbacks to. Oh, I can scroll in with the mouse wheel. I didn't know that. That's cool. Alright. Well, that's interesting. Anything else over here? There's a statue here. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Shh, be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. Another window. You can see pretty far from 50 stories up. If you were to drop that suit of armor from here. At first the chief wanted to use stained glass for this window. Really? Why didn't he? I say he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. Oh. Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. Alright, well, let's take a look at the safe again. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. Oh, yeah, we already read that. Alright. I think there's only one number that would make sense to try here. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birth date? It's... Oh, we're getting the camera sound effects. I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. Alright. Let's see what we got. Oh, man. It is Chief Gant's number. Bingo. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 777-7777. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean 777777? That ID number? I think there's one more 7 that you need to say there. I think you're 1 7 shy this time. This can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Well, I suppose we can take a quick peek. Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard from a broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else in here, too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. Okay, that's interesting. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? This is all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it, and a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great, now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we can show the detective. Well, I can think of at least one thing that is related here, and that is the, unstable jar. Can we not show Gumshoe? Let me just make sure. We can look at this. Hey, look! They're hard to make out, but there are some dark red stains here. Looks like blood. Do you think Detective Goodman's blood somehow got in this when he was stabbed? Not likely. This blood looks like it's been here for months, maybe longer. This jar was evidence in the SL9 incident. That might be when the blood got on it. Okay, so nothing else. It's weird that I cannot... Oh, there. I have to go to present here. My bad. Detective Gumshoe, Could you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put that back together. Ah, those were the days. That was only like a day or two ago. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found. You mean this one? That was in the safe? Yes, that one! That was in the safe! Now that you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Alright, let's give it a shot. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. I like how she's just carrying glue around. If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. There you go. There! It fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached is different from the others. It is? There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line. That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in a safe? Unstable jar. Updated in the court record. Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe. Blood traces. Okay. The handprint. I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to present there, unless it has to do with this, maybe? Oh, never mind. I thought maybe this glove and the handprint were related, but you couldn't really make any connections that were conclusive, I don't think. There's so many pieces of evidence here. Present this, maybe? No. What about this? That's what the chief was reading before, isn't it? You know, when we first came in here, yeah, it looks like the right side of the form's been torn off. So Mr. Edgeworth's list really was only half the whole thing. Something else is bugging me more than that. Take a look at the back of that form, pal. The back? Yeah, we saw that earlier. Can we talk to Gumshoe about anything? Oh, we can, okay. That desk on the other side of the room, was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana, on that day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk. No one except Chief Gant. And the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be... No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay, now then let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on, not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry, this guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him? Well, I do think he's awfully suspicious right now. Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings. Yet. There you go, ignoring me again. Are we supposed to, like, find something else in here, or is it just a matter of presenting the right stuff to Gumshoe? I'm just gonna make sure I look at everything else on the other side. Yeah, it looks like we looked at everything, so I don't know what we've missed. I'm gonna present this. Hey, that's it! That's the King of Prosecutors Award that Mr. Edgeworth got the other day. Is this what we need to present? Were you at the award ceremony, Detective Gumshoe? Of course, pal. I got an award for diligence myself. Ah, congratulations. Say, this design's based on an old Chinese parable, right? Yeah, everyone knows that. There was this, dragon, yeah, that's it. A dragon. He had a thing for shields, see? That's not exactly the version we heard. No, but this one sounds more exciting. I agree. Anyway, it gets kind of gory after that. I'll spare you the details. Oh, was that it? Do we need to present this? This knife belongs to the murderer, Joe Dark, right? You bet. If it wasn't for that piece of evidence, he wouldn't have been found guilty. The broken tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. Ever since that case was solved, this knife's been in Detective Goodman's locker. How could it have possibly gotten to Mr. Edgeworth's car? Not only that, but it was wrapped in Lana's scarf. What's even more mysterious is whether that's called a scarf or a muffler. Answer me that, pal. I'm gonna go with scarf. I don't know what else we need to show him, though. Maybe this? No, okay. I'm gonna look up the answer at this point. Oh, we need to fingerprint the thing. Right. How do we apply that to... Do we have to go inside the... Oh, that's right, we don't actually have the stuff in our possession yet, do we? So... Where was the thing where we can... Oh, that's right, we have to examine, don't we? And then we go in here. You know, I'm curious what happens when we use the luminol fluid in here. So we can do that, apparently. Although, if this guy is as thorough as we think, I doubt there's any actual stuff going on in here, so... Yeah. Oh, whoa, 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 hang on. Whoa! This area must have been covered in blood. Is this from that incident? It must be, when Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. 2 years have passed, so the reaction's kind of dull. So a murder really did take place here. Apparently so, okay. I don't know if we actually needed to do that or not. Do we just need to present the fingerprinting set to Edgeworth? Or, Gumshoe? Is that what we need to do? The way this works is kind of weird. Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is. So you want to take some fingerprints. That's a great idea, Detective. Alright, go to town. Sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not exactly what we had in mind. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh! Heh, I knew that. The one with a handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Alright. Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. So we have to just do each finger one at a time until we find a good match? Is that how we're doing it? I figured it'd be easier just to use the mouse at this point. Okay, that does not look very good. I gave it my best shot. That kind of result won't be any good for matching prints, will it? But it doesn't look like we'll get a clear result from this print. Okay, let's try a different finger then. Okay, let's try... You know, let's try the middle one. It looks like a good, clearer one. Ah, there we go. There we are. Alright, so let's see whose fingerprint it is. It's not Gant. It looks like Emma. What? Well now. What is going on here? No. How could this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? I don't know if we want to mention this now. Huh? Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst! Hey you, over here. What's going on here? What are the kids' prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. I don't know if that's a good idea. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Piece of cloth folded and added to the court record. Found in Chief Gant's safe. Evidence for something, but what? Bears Emma Sky's prints. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coats? Eek! Chief Gant! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat? Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out! Yes, sir! Oof. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait. You, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. Uh-oh. I don't like this. But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair. You're free to go. But, Mr. Wright! I don't like this at all. Look, pal, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you wouldn't care anymore if you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has she kept eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. I don't know if that's gonna go very well, but we can try. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Well, as long as that's all it is. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Thank you, Phoenix. Thank you. I'm so glad somebody finally said it. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I've finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. Alright. I'm looking forward to this. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you were unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. Ooh, it's getting good. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, who may I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I'm supposedly so frightened of. What is this person's name? Well, thankfully, we're already on him. Here in the list. Well, Miss Skye? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was... me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence of that case. Alright, well let's show the evidence list. I just found this in a safe in the Chief's office. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. What were these orders? Although I cannot tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Ooh, just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you are not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand? Yes. It seems I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. You know, you can kind of tell here that Bruce Goodman looks dead already. Like, he's kind of just not really animated right now in terms of his posture and stuff. So that's very, very well shown there, as well as how it's framed and all that. Ms. Starr, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be open again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So you hid Dark's knife? The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it. In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right, then I called my sister to tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So wait, did I read that correctly, that she called Marshall after the incident in the prosecutor's office parking lot? Because if that's the case, didn't we establish that Jake went on his escapade during that time? Oh, no. This was when she got the orders from Gant. This was before she went to the prosecutor's office. Got it. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. But why? Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer, and what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. Indeed. that is going to be quite the climax. To be continued. Alright. Well, next time we're going to start the final day of trial. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves today, and I'll catch you next time. So take care.